and welcome to Newcastle Fans TV Extra. We're recording this whilst the international break, well, sort of an international break. It's 4 days of it, not 2 weeks of it, as normally it is. Everybody dreads the international break, and to an extent I used to, but I'm quite excited with the England team that we've got at the minute. I think attacking-wise it is very, very good. I'm here with Sam Mull and the lead Lawler. Well, we'll discuss England in general. Do you like watching them? Do you watch them in major tournaments? Do you watch them in their European qualifying games, the World Cup qualifying games? I think, like, first things first, when you look at the squad on paper and you look at the fact going forward, Newcastle there, England are so exciting. Does it make you want to watch it? Even against Iceland and Denmark in the next couple of days?
There's no hurt or love there, if you want me to be brutally honest. I think it's more of a South thing.
Why do you say that?
I just think you look at cities like Newcastle, they don't necessarily care about England unless it's a tournament, and I find Liverpool very similar. They don't really care about the rest of England, and that probably goes further deeper than football. Probably as a Geordie first, English second, Scouser first, English second.
I don't think that's a north-south thing. I think that's just a nationwide thing.
No, I think it's a small part, I do. But I also think in terms of football, when England play, I mentioned to you before, I'll watch it because it's football. I'll watch England ahead of any other red button game. I'm not bothered if England lose.
Are you bothered if they lose, Sam? If it's a World Cup, a Euros? I think it's different if it's friendlies or European qualifiers or World Cup qualifiers. But if they lose in the World Cup or they lose in the Euros, does it get you down for maybe half an hour, but then you realise Newcastle's just around the corner?
Yeah, that's the only time I kind of get motivated by international football is a Euros or a World Cup. I really struggle with qualifiers, friendlies, Nations League. It just doesn't do anything for me. I'd probably take more interest in it if a Newcastle player actually got called up to the England squad.
I think Stephen Taylor's still the last. I know Jack Colback, but he was injured. He had to leave the squad, didn't he? But Stephen Taylor's probably the only one that's actually had training sessions and been on a bench. But
didn't make an appearance. Who was the last Newcastle player to actually?
Michael Owen, maybe.
Genius?
Probably was.
Genius
was gone.
Andy Carroll.
Carroll.
Andy Carroll. That's probably the one that I can think off the top of my head. But when you look at the games coming up, Lee, I'm quite excited when I look at the squad more than anything else. Now, I'm not going to watch England San Marino or England Gibraltar because I know I would expect England to win by at minimum 3 or 4. That's just my opinion. I don't know if anyone's different.
They should.
But you look at the team that we've got at the minute. The goalkeeping situation is very unique at the best of times. Now, John Pick's number 1. You've got Dean Henderson and Nick Pope, who are vying for that position. I think that's quite interesting, just in the goalkeeping situation. But the reason why I'm saying the attacking threat, Jack Grealish has been called up. You've got Jadon Sancho. You've got the likes of Marcus Rashford, who's injured but is in the mix. You've got Harry Kane, Raheem Sterling, Danny Ings, who's on form.
Greenwood.
Mason Greenwood. Greenwood's a brilliant player as well.
Your cousin.
Possibly. But when you look at those...
See the resemblance.
Of course you do. Now, when you look at those players, does that not excite you a little bit?
No. Does not. If you want me to be brutally honest, because I don't care about England. I care, like Sam said, in the tournament. It's great that we've got bags of riches, but so did the team in, was it 2006? We had...
0204, I think, was probably.
We had a world-class player in every
maybe.
position going forward, except the goalkeeper, which was David James. That was one hell of a team.
Yeah.
But I know England will always produce talent. Germany will, Italy, Spain, Brazil, Argentina, all the big guns. But in all honesty, I don't care.
What would change your opinion on England?
I don't know what can, because we're very much ingrained, me personally, very much Newcastle. Tournaments, but one thing that's flip it on the head is about tournaments is I like the fact that the whole country comes together. That's different. We don't get that as Newcastle. Newcastle United kind of produce that, whereas the whole nation's out drinking, hot weather. Even the women jump on the bandwagon and get involved in it. Not every woman. I like that. I do like that. But that's it for me.
Sam, Lee talks about the fact that the World Cup, the Euros, when that happens, it's brilliant because everyone gets involved. If that was every summer, do you think that would help the England team in a sense? Because everyone would go, oh no, it's the end of the season. Oh, England are in the World Cup. England are in the Euros. We've got that to look forward to.
Possibly. Well, we've got consecutive tournament. Well,
to an extent, we've got consecutive tournament only.
I mean, the World Cup's going to be in our winter, isn't it?
Yeah.
2022. I don't know what. I mean, there was obviously great scenes for the World Cup. Obviously, we didn't quite get the job done in the semi-finals, but I think we overachieved in that World Cup.
And it's funny because I mentioned to you off camera our biggest viewed video is an England video.
Did you get excited though when we won that penalty shootout against Colombia, when we won that quarter-final against Sweden? Even to an extent, going into that game against Croatia, we went 1-0 after 5 minutes. It was 1-1. It was extra time. Anything happened in extra time. But the fact that England was so close to a World Cup final under a manager like Gareth Southgate, who's never really been, as I say, he's only managed Borough. No disrespect to Mills, but they're not a massive football
and took them down.
And took them down as well.
But they did have an easy route. We'll kind of forget that.
I don't rate Southgate.
It doesn't matter who's in charge. I kind of get up for England, and I have, obviously there is the flip side, because I said to you off camera, the first time I ever cried was an England game.
Yeah.
It was World Cup 98 when
yeah.
I was distraught.
Yeah,
Euro 96 was my first tournament that I remember, but I was only just getting into football that season, because obviously we came back off.
And if you think, just after Euro 96, we signed Alan Shearer. Just
on the back of that, top scorer.
What time to be alive.
But World Cup 98, I cried, and my mum told us to grow up, and I was crying at the blinds, and I was only like, what, 11 then. That was heartbreak. But ever since then, I've seen we get put out penalties by Portugal consecutively, Italy. It becomes the norm, and to be honest, after a couple of days, I didn't care.
When you look at the squad on paper, Sam, because I've asked Leigh about the squad, but do you look at the squad on paper, do you think that the whole squad in general care more about playing for England than Gerrard, Frank Lampard, Wayne Rooney era did? Because it seemed for me back in the day that it was club before country, and there might still be a sense of club before country with a lot of those players, but it doesn't look like they show it when they talk about England. Like, you look at Conor Cody, for example, who's the Wolves captain. You know, he's from Liverpool, and they talk about the Liverpool England connection, which is a much wider story, and I don't think it's relevant for us to talk about. But he was absolutely over the moon at getting a call up. Jack Grealish, I know he's switching allegiance to Ireland. He was over the moon. He was when he didn't initially get the call up, but now he's got the call up. Do you think those players care a lot more about playing for their country?
Yes. A few of the old ex-pros used to have come out and said since they've retired that there was a bit of not a divide in the old squads, but
there's the Manchester United connection, Liverpool connection, Chelsea. Lampard said that, didn't he?
Yeah. So I think there is a bit more togetherness nowadays, and the previous World Cup can only aid that. But I don't know. It's just this current England team is exciting. It's probably not as defensively sound as the team of old when England had a abundance of world-class centre-backs. Now we'd struggle to find one world-class centre-back that's English.
I think you talk about players caring. I think you see that if we get put out. You see certain people.
Yeah.
You see certain people really upset. John Terry. You see him upset every time England got put out. Not so much you don't have to show because but you can see it gets to certain individuals more than others. What I do like to bring up though is that I think it's about right, and the FA recently brought it up that the women's team get paid the same now.
Yeah, I think it's
massive. But England players never used to get paid. They used to donate to charity, didn't they?
Yeah.
But now
the women's do though, don't they?
I think they do. The match fee, but the women's now are paid equally for England games. And I think the USA need to really have a look at that, because the USA women's bring more to the game than what the men do.
I think that's a valid point. And I think you look at the fact that now the men's and the women's team get paid equally, which is right. That is the whole thing that women have been crying out for, and I think even the England men's team wouldn't be that bothered. I think you're honoured to play for your country. It's not, you don't get paid to play for your country.
I think the women's are more bothered about playing for the country than what the men's are, because the women, that's their biggest limelight that they can go. Raheem Sterling can go and play in the Champions League game next. Steph Houghton can play in the Champions League game in front of 1,000 people. That's not even on telly.
Yeah.
Totally different kettle of fish. I think for the girls, it's a much bigger thing. It's more of a pride. Not saying that the men aren't, I think it's a bigger deal for the women.
Yeah, for sure. But we'd like to get your thoughts on this because this is a topic that we've been talking about. I'm quite excited with everything that's going on with England at the minute. Now, you look at the squad, I think it's a very good squad considering what we've got. I think there's still a couple
Going
of
forward, it is defensively. It's not.
defensively, isn't it?
I think if we'd done this video, Johnny, a week before the tournament or just after the tournament, I'd be more up because I sound miserable as fuck. Let's be honest, I do, because I care in the tournament, but when we're knocked out, it's forgotten about.
Yeah.
A couple of days later.
But the thing is, though, I think it's about steady improvement. Now, what I think Sam was right. That semi-final was a massive overachievement, but it showed potential. It showed what this England team can do. And I don't think this England team is a million miles away from winning something. I really don't. I think there's a couple of teams that are better than England, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But if they get the right draw and there's some surprises along the way, England could be in a final of a major competition, and it wouldn't surprise me in the near future. But get your comments in below. Tell me what you think about England. Whether do you watch them, do you not watch them, do you care, do you not care? But most importantly, do you think that England can do better, can they improve? And do you agree that the men's team, excuse me, I'm drinking my pint, I should say, my bourbon as well. Why is the men's team and the women's team, as these two are laughing, should be paid equally, and why should they be paid equally as well? But to get your England and Newcastle reaction, make sure you like and subscribe to Newcastle Fans TV Extra and Newcastle Fans TV on the main channel, and we'll see you all very, very soon.